Hello everyone, this is Bigalski, and I am joined by two of my good buddies.
JayTB.
And the Godfather Dictator.
And since we've gotten together and talked about a little the history of the game, I wanted to show my personal side of the history of the game. It has allowed me to meet some really great players, and most of them I'm still very good friends with. And I just wanted to kind of start that off and show some of the pictures and some of the people that I've met. And I will say that some of the players I've met multiple times, but I'm not showing all of those pictures. JayTB and I have had a chance to travel together quite a few times. We plan on doing maybe a little history and talk about that, at some other point. But since the new version or Sigma came out, I thought this would be fun, and people could see that even it's a video game and over the internet, you can really make some really great friends from a video game. So that's my little point of view.
Sure.
Yeah, so
Yep.
here's where it all started, of course, with Ninja Gaiden, and I talked about my history in one of the other history videos that we did, how it all started. So here's my GameFAQs when I started back in 2005. And I will say the one reason why I go there and I vote in the poll and check out that is I wanted to see what would happen if I ever got to 5,000 karma. And now it's at 10,000 karma. See, back then, it was 5,000 was the highest. And so I don't know if I'm going to go for 10,000 because that'll be another 15 years. And then of course here's the site where a lot of us met. Godfather, did you go to GameFAQs very much?
Not that much, but I did post some the occasional thread video. I remember I posted my no damage run there, the full one. I remember you commented on it too. There was the mission mode thread.
Right.
Also for the no hurt, no nimpo. I went there a little bit. I also remember early on when I started getting more into it around 2007. I remember checking some of the thread by Yebiosh, and some of the other guys that were there early on, and there was a lot of interesting information there at the time, I remember.
Well, that stuff is still there. So if y'all go to GameFAQs, go to the original Ninja Gaiden and go to the guides on this and in black, you'll get to see some of the, I think Foreman made a little guide. Yebiosh made some good guides. Megla Zero from the site made.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And then, so people would come here. It was here, and also the Tecmo board is where a lot of people went. But this site right here is when I met a lot of the players that I met, including Iberian Warrior and Weeble, P. Saren, guys like that. And people decided that they wanted to start hosting some videos, and so Iberian Warrior decided to make a site that he funded himself to where we could host the videos. Again, this was before YouTube. So this has been redesigned. It's not the original one. I think Sabier had a hand in this design right here. This is just something I picked up off the internet. But the forums were great. Everybody was welcome. I know we talked about that a little bit before. They sat there and showcased different players, the different games, the different videos. Obviously, this was before I think Ninja Gaiden 3 came out. But again, it was the Grab It at first is where Brian is Iberian Warrior. You'll hear me talk about that. But before YouTube. So again, and we would all chip in. Weeble760 actually used to host. He had a modded Xbox, and he would host a lot of the videos on his site, on his Xbox, until it just got too much. And that's what kind of led to Iberian.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Man, not to just get wildly off topic, but
well,
it's
that's
not
what
off
we
topic,
do.
But,
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when that was one of the coolest things about when we met Weeble the first year I went to the US.
And that picture's coming up, by the way.
Yeah, and I remember seeing his Xbox, and man, it just looks so cool, with the way he'd modded it and everything. And And I remember thinking, oh yeah, so like this is where all the videos used to be, like, you know, way back when.
Yeah, he was surprised at how big it got, and he had a lot of the original videos that unfortunately were lost. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. But you know, it was revolutionary, I guess, if that's the word you want to call it. But because you had IGN, you had GameFAQs, you know, these places that had different games on it and stuff. But this was mainly dedicated for Ninja Gaiden, and it was IberiansNGRealm, and it was a great place for probably 4 or 5 years, you know, at least. But I know a lot of people went there. And so that stayed on for a little while. And then in 2006, we had all talked and said, hey, let's all get together. We're going to be in Vegas. Brian was going to come. He's the one holding the peace sign. And then my wife, Shelly, Weeble760, and then Peace Aaron standing next to me. And we got together and met and, you know, got a chance to play together and, you know, spend like a couple days together. And it was just a blast. And here's a picture of Brian playing. And I'm not making fun of Brian because, you know, everybody has their own looks. You'll see my stupid look coming up here in a minute as I'm playing. But Brian would, you know, go back and forth, and like him moving the controller was going to, you know, make him hit Alma harder or something. You know, it's, you know, I'll do that too sometimes when I'm trying to jump. I'll like lean into the jump like it means anything or whatever. But Weeble thought he was like going to hit him in the face or something. So we had a good laugh about that. I do have some clips of. They just probably won't come out because they're so old that Weeble had taken of us, you know, playing together. But I'll never forget, we were playing. We really didn't know the names of the characters back then, like we do now with Ishtaros and Nishay and all that stuff. And you know, we called her the wit bitch. And I'll never forget. I'll never forget Weeble saying when Brian was, you know, struggling. And again, back in the day, we all kind of struggled with it. He said, well, just pull out the dark dragon blade and wall jump that bitch. That was good advice, you know, and sometimes...
Valid's chat. Yeah, Valid's chat.
Yeah, we all still do it. So then, see, there's my blank stare of me trying to play, and then Peace Aaron letting me know what he thinks about my gameplay. And it was just a fun time. It's a great picture. And yeah, it's. I look at that and I laugh. So, you know, whenever I say I don't play any good, hey, when you're sitting next to Peace Aaron, and he has this look on his face, you know, that's the reason he can do CG1 and CG4 all those times in a row. But he was very good. Weeble was extremely well. We don't have a picture of, unfortunately, of Weeble playing. But those guys were just so good and really kind of intimidating the first time that I met them because they were so good at those missions. Now, I was a karma runner and they weren't. But, you know, they had met each other before during the Master Ninja tournament. So they were a part of the, you know, Hurricane Pack 1 and 2, which is Master Ninja Tournament 2 and 3. So anyway, we've gotten together a few times after that, but they had a Scarab shop. I think we're in the Luxor, and so of course I do have a picture of a Scarab. We had to get it, and we got a little. I brought my Xbox controller, and we all signed it, and so that's one of my little prized possessions. I know some people may think it's nerdy or whatever, but you know, to me it was really cool to meet those guys and hang out.
Well, I still have my original Xbox pad that is broken.
Oh, really?
Like,
really?
just from use, but yeah, I still have it because like that's the one I got that, you know, with my original Xbox, and I played that predominantly NG, but like, you know, I used that controller to play NG pretty much for like 6 years straight, and then when it finally died, I'm like, I can't throw this away. Like I just like
Get it as a souvenir.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like you know, this, like, there's literally thousands of hours of use on this thing, you know, like. I can't just put this in the bin. Can't do that.
I still have. I'm actually looking at it. It's above my computer desk right now. That controller.
That's awesome.
There. So,
awesome.
after we all met, and we were all on the forum, well, one of the guys who played, his name was Scrapmo, and he was in his mid-20s, and he and his mom would come over to the Houston area. They have the Texas Renaissance Festival. And he said, hey, I'm coming over. Can we get together? So he came over, and because, and we met a few hours before they went to the Texas Renaissance Festival. But he actually held the hard karma score, the record for, back in the day. And then I think I barely beat it or whatever like that. And that's when hard was considered the toughest, thing to run. But that right there, I forget exactly what year it is in, but it was, I think it was 2009 or 8 or something like that. But
I know. Can we appreciate the TV just there?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, the fat CRTs.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh man, and that's that right there probably weighed like 200 pounds.
It was very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36
Weighs a
inch
lot.
TV. Yeah.
That's a weird thing about. I remember when, because when I was playing it, I pretty much played from up until I was, I think, about 17. I played on like an 11-inch CRT, tiny TV. And then I got a 22-inch CRT, and that was the biggest thing about it. It was like, damn, this is heavy. It's only a 22-inch TV, but yeah, as you say, it's like 150 pounds or something, maybe more. They are super heavy. Those TVs.
Yeah, me and Shelly, whenever we moved apartments, and we had to carry that thing across the apartment complex, and it was like 230 pounds or something like that. Yeah, it was like, oh my god. Yeah.
And today, TV weighs nothing today. You have the
yeah.
flat screen that you can bring with one hand, almost.
Yeah.
You can pinch rip a telly now. It's super weird. Yeah.
And now the TV I have probably goes from end to end on this, from that cabinet right there. I don't have that cabinet anymore, or the entertainment center, but I think the TV weighs 35 pounds or something like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Where it came from. So we got to meet, and I don't ever know what happened to him once the site kind of shut down. But me and Brian, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Iberian Warriors site right now. Brian and I were actually pretty good buddies. We would talk on the phone, and we got a chance to meet. I went out to Columbus, Ohio, and met with him. He's come to Houston to meet with me. Been out to Vegas, and I guess what was so disappointing when Brian decided to close the website down, he didn't have to do it. There was people there willing to take over, and I'm not trying to offend anybody or talk bad about Brian. I know people ask me all the time what happened to Iberian Warriors site, and he had, I guess, gone through some personal problems and just didn't want to run it and the responsibility and the upkeep of it, because it's not as easy as it is today, back then. And I think the site started at the end of 2005 and stayed going till 2011, maybe 2012. And so whenever all of that stuff started taking place, I said, look, give us the control of the site. We'll pay for it. We'll do whatever. And it was me. Pure Grunt was going to be a part of it. Dark Hazuki was going to be a part of it. Reim0027, he was actually pretty much running it when Brian would go missing in action. And also Sabier, because Sabier was going to take care of the web design. So we had people from all over the world in different time zones, because the site would go down, every... or go down for a week at a time or something. And I'd finally have to call him or text him and say, hey, what's going on? And this picture right here, I will just say offhand, they had this Taco Ninja we were going to go eat at. And Brian says, watch me kick high. I can kick really high. And that's his high kick right there. I'm like, I don't think that wasn't as high as you thought it was.
I just love that sign.
Yeah.
Assassinate your hunger.
Yeah.
And of course, though, when we got there, it wasn't open. It doesn't show the time right there, but I think we got there a little early or something, so we didn't get a chance to eat there after all. But that was kind of the plan, to go do that. And this is when we took a road trip up to Cleveland, Ohio, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But so when Brian, I said, look, you can let us have it. He says, well, I don't trust that y'all will run it like I'm running it. And I just felt that was kind of a slap in the face, because especially to Reim, he was the one who was really keeping up with a lot of that and spent a lot of time on that. And it's like, well, he's been doing it for the last year and a half. How can you not trust him? And you can't talk about integrity whenever you're not going to live up to the standards that you set for yourself and, set for everybody else. And it was a big deal. And he had, we had come together, a few of us had sent him, like a community letter begging him to give us control of the site. And he's like, he just wasn't going to do it. And he had the videos. He says, I have all the videos, because again, they weren't all up on YouTube. He says, I have all the videos on a hard drive. And I says, well, look, I'll come up and I'll drive up there and get that hard drive so we don't lose them. Because whenever Brian opened up the website, Weeble didn't keep up his side of it, because he didn't need to, because they were on, Brian's site. And then Craig, his site, which is Reim, he, I think his videos or his hard drive corrupted, so he lost that. So, and then whenever we sent that letter out, Brian, I don't think responded to us, but he responded on the forum. And when he's responded on the forum, he actually not only attacked me, but he also started attacking my wife. And some of the mods at the time caught that, deleted it, and sent it to me. And that's where it was a lot more personal to me than maybe it was to other players, because it's like, why would you attack my wife for no reason? And, he can come back and say whatever he wants to say, but I still have those comments, along with a lot of other the history stuff that we've shared about before. And that was just kind of the end, and he just kind of let it go. And Dark Hazuki knew, see, this is whenever he came down to Houston. He wanted to stand up on the thing so we'd be the same size. That's one of the Apollo rockets, I think, down here at NASA, down here in Houston. But Dark Hazuki kind of saw it was, Luck Required did this, a little, picture of us or whatever. Because, that's how close we were. But anyway, so Dark Hazuki saw that this was coming, and, that's the reason he opened up Ninja Archives. And he opened it up before Iberians had fully shut down, but I think everybody knew the writing was on the wall. So he didn't, I lost a great friend, and I still don't fully understand why things happened like they happened. I just don't understand it. And he kept saying, it's all about integrity, it's all about honesty, and I guess that only meant something as long as it suited his purpose. And again, I could be wrong. I'm not trying to talk bad about him. We tried to reconnect a few years ago, and then he kind of did the same thing. So I hope he's well, and I hope he's happy. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, because for at least a good solid 5 years, Iberians was the place to go for anything Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was when that place closed, and it's getting into, it's like an older time of the web, I guess. But whenever I didn't have my own PC, at that time, so I was a teenager, even saying that sounds weird, because like now plenty of teenagers have probably got their own PC, but it's just the way it was back then. PCs back then were like extremely expensive. So that was just like my go-to place every time I went on the PC. It was Iberians, like always was like the first stop. And it just had a really active community. There was it's funny now on the current site, NG Realm, I'd say there's probably maybe a dozen at a stretch, like sort of regular posters. On like, you know, at the best of times, like there's probably a dozen people. You know, there was probably a couple of hundred on Iberians, and you know, but by I guess like today's standards, that's probably not a lot. But you know, back then for like a dedicated forum for one game,
it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot because
there
was
too. You could track
Sorry?
the website, like who was going to traffic. I forget what the name of the website is, but I think at one point it was like in the top 500 or something, which is, you know, not bad at all. Like you said, for a dedicated website for a video game.
Just looking at this picture, actually, just kind of this is a good way to quite. So this must be an early one because like you look at all the people that are there. There's Balbade, there's Fiend Booser, I remember him. Gull, I remember him. H Smoke, I remember him. Julius Ruler, old school. Massacre, he's on NG Realm. So is Mixed Up, Murphy's Ghost, Ninja Noob, I remember that. Shiguri, Shin Maraku, Shreddy Bobby, VMD50. Like just all those old names, you know, you remember them from that forum, and it's one of the worst things about I think like the history of the game, and one thing I think like two people I think that kind of probably don't get their due props in terms of the preservation of this game is Dark Hazuki and Reim.
Yes.
Because without Dark Hazuki, I mean, I don't want to say I run the forum now because I don't. Like he did everything in the migration. He basically just transferred like the ownership of the domain to me, essentially. Like I didn't make a forum. Like I don't know the first thing about that. So it's because of him that like it carried on. And Reim, when he took over at Iberians, I mean, he did everything. And even when Ninja Archives was first up, Reim was a huge part of that. For anyone that's not been on the forum, in the last like year, again, I don't really know anything about this stuff, but Dark Hazuki, I think, checked in, and he found a way to like get rid of all the bots because, like, you know, it's so easy for bots to sign up. And there's a way to filter them out. And like, no exaggeration, like Reim was the one that was like deleting hundreds of them a week, you know, manually.
Yeah,
and
that's dedication there.
Yeah,
you know, and I feel like
from his family. You know,
yeah, and those players, I mean, Dark Hazuki did make videos, and Reim as well made videos. He made a walkthrough series for NG2 that's, I think it's still out there
it's
on
still
YouTube.
on the net, yeah. I don't think it's under his name, but it's under somebody else's name.
Yeah, it's definitely out there somewhere. But I mean, yeah, those two people are, I think, two of the most like important pillars of the scene. And actually, it's a shame, like, because they didn't make a ton of videos, I feel like not a lot of people know them. But you know, the reason we still have like a forum to post videos on, like the reason that like I'm still doing stuff is like because of those people in retrospect.
Right.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, big shout outs to this, and Pure Grunt as well. Like it's kind of there's too many people to name, I guess, but like, you know, I think those people really did a lot to like keep the game alive at that point. And I mean, even now, you know, it's like the forum is. I mean, it's active. Like, there's, you know, it is quiet, like by, you know, Discord standards. Like everyone's on Discord these days. But it's still great that we have it, you know. And if you want to track, like, you know, kind of the highest stuff on there, like there really is only that place to go for that now. So it's and the end of chapter tables, which someone is watching on. I don't know who though, because the forum tracks how many times like a thread's been viewed. And if you look at those end of chapter tables, like someone's looking at them.
Right.
I don't know who. I don't know who they are, but
well, if you look on this screen real quick at the bottom, our newest member, Unborn Phoenix, he actually was in JayTB's chat.
Yeah.
Or weren't the other day? He subscribed to my channel the other day. I mean, that's how far that goes back. But
awesome.
And I will give a mention. I only went there a few times. It was never like it was at IW's site, but Ninja Fortress, I think was the name. And there was a few members that would constantly go over there. I think Sabotage, Ryu Hayabusa would go over there, and they finally migrated whenever that site started shutting down. So there was a couple of alternatives, but really Iberians was the best. And whenever we lost everything, not only did we lose a lot of the videos. I mean, Sned kept some, which is on his site, Boss Sned. For anybody, you can find it through my channels, and also X Factor Hates You has some other ones. But a lot of the information from just like the document forms that we've talked about, from what was it, the guide, the mission mode guide, the strategy guide, a lot, just a lot of little things like that are lost, and it just didn't have to be. It just didn't have to be. And that's the sad part for me, other than losing a pretty good friend back in the day. But you know what? I guess people can, just say, oh, that's life. That's how it goes. Move on. But, it is a sad time, and it, makes me a little sad now talking about it. But hopefully Brian is doing well, and hopefully this will answer what happened and, kind of put that to rest. So I think moving on here. So thank you to Dark Hazuki for opening up Ninja Archives. And one of the things that kind of got me into whenever I was making my commentary videos, well, Ballbade was doing a lot of stuff, and he asked me to commentate on some of his videos, because still commentary back in the day wasn't, a lot of people just didn't do that. Yep. It was just no, and so he asked me to do chapter 1 through 5, and then did he ask you to join me, or did you say you wanted to join, JTB? How was that?
Yeah, I think I actually remember. So this is funny, because this is chapter 6A, so this is back when you would still split up chapter 6 and 10 and 12 and that, because they were really long. And it's funny now, because in the recent videos me and Al have done, like, we just do the whole chapter. Like chapter 15 is like 50 minutes. Like, we just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't do that. This is only 2013, but again, like, YouTube was still kind of a bit finicky. I think like that's the earliest I can remember of the like and dislike, because YouTube used to have the 5-star system.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers that. And I think it was just because chapter 6 was quite long. I thought it'd be cool if I could join you for some of the later chapters, and then I think we just had a good time doing that. And it's funny what you say about like the commentary not being popular, because you think of how it is now with like it seems like everyone is streaming and that. But it's true. I remember when I did the first commentary run just on my own. Like it was like nerve-wracking, like like talking over a video, kind of your voice being out there.
Yeah.
And yet now it's it's everywhere, isn't it?
Well, so this was our very first video. Excuse me. This is the very first one that we've done, and then so that's when JTB said, "Hey, look, I'm coming to America, and I'm going out to Las Vegas, and I'll be there in July. Do you want to come out?" And I said, "Well, I'm not working right now." And he says, "Well, look, I'm already got everything taken care of. Just come out, and we'll have a good time." And so I drove out there, and I let some of the guys know on Facebook and also on the website that I'd be coming out there. So when I started driving out there in July, I let a couple of the people know. And so this is, next to me is, and I'm the big guy just in case people don't know, that's Ninjilla. And the guy next to him is Darkness, and then that's his friend. Unfortunately, I forgot her name. But Ninjilla, I remember on the forum when we talked about meeting up, years ago, like after I think Scrapmo and I did or something. And he says, "Well, if you're ever in my area, I'd love to meet up." And I think he was only like 15 or 16 at the time. And I said, "You know what? I just don't think that that's a great idea." And he says, "No, I can bring my mom along." And, and I was like, "No, I just don't think that that's a great idea." And then, 3 or 4 years later, after he was already in 18, I'd sit there and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in your area. Did you want to meet up?" And he's like, "No, you're way too old." And so at that time we didn't. But, a few years later, now, he's in his early 20s. I had said that I was, coming out that way if he'd like to meet. And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So we got together and meet. And he actually used to make a few videos too. It wasn't under Ninjilla, it was under another name. But again, he's somebody that goes back a long way. And I've met Darkness, quite a few times. And speaking of that, there's going to be some random pictures. All of these are just kind of random pictures, and some of them you're going to see people more than once. But, I'm not putting every picture in there of everybody that I've met if I've met them more than once. I mean, me and JayTB have hundreds of pictures together, and Weeble and Fayer and, guys that I've met multiple times. But Ninjilla was in here, but you'll see Darkness again. But we had a great time. We had breakfast, and Ninjilla is kind of the small guy in between the two big guys. But the food was really great, and I did that on the way out to Vegas to meet with JayTB. So this is our very first picture. We stayed at the Paris, right? That's where it was, right? Yeah.
I was muted there, guys. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I went out for
Thanks, JayTB. Thanks for
Evo 2013. No, I'm listening. I was just typing, so I didn't want to because I know you can hear my keyboard. So.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that was Evo 2013. That was the first Evo I went to. That was for MK9 and Injustice. That was like kind of just as I was getting started, in competing in fighting games, which is going back. It's 8 years now. I don't do well with sun for the most part, and going to Vegas, I was a little bit nervous, and man, I remember Al picked me up from the airport, and I think I got in really late. I'd never flown before either. Like that was my first flight, and people were kind of surprised at that. It was like, your first flight is Vegas one way. I was like, yeah, like what's the big deal? And they're like, it's a 10-hour flight, and I thought, yeah, like,
Well, it was funny.
First time for everything.
Yeah, I was like, it's a flight. It's not a big a deal. But when we got there, I'll never forget. I got out of the airport, and I think it was about, I want to say like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. It was late, basically, and it was still like high 30 degrees Celsius, like
it was
over
almost 100 degrees. Yeah,
and I remember coming out of the airport, and we were walking under this kind of like gangway to the car park. And I remember thinking, like, why are there heaters here? Like, why am I so bloody hot? I just kind of looked around. I was like, oh no, we're outside. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like,
well,
it was so warm.
Well, when we got together, this was kind of a leap of faith because we had never met each other before. I'd never done anything like this. I mean, think about it. Here's somebody you've met on the internet. You've heard his voice and he's heard my voice. But we've never actually met, to come out and, we're going to spend a week together. Because I go out to Vegas a few weeks later to play in the BCA pool tournament, the national pool tournament today, which was a few weeks later. That's the reason I came out here and had the time. And I'll never forget walking up to the airport, and because I'd never seen, like I said, a picture of you. I don't think I remember you saying you were. Had a baby face, because you were what, 20, 23, 24?
I'm 20, I'm 25 there. Yeah.
Yeah.
25, yeah.
And so I'm in my mid 40s, and but we had never met, so I mean, people, oh, that's so odd or weird. To me, it wasn't. I'll meet anybody as long as you're above 18 and, don't have any issue. It's all about, just having fun and getting together. But I remember him saying he was young and thin, and so I walked up to him, and I'm like, or we kind of walked towards each other, I think is what
I think we just kind of knew, because I remember seeing you from the forum, and I remember thinking, that guy over there looks like Bigalski.
Well, you said, I said, how'd you know it was me? And you said, well, I just saw the biggest guy here in my area, and I figured it had to be you.
Yeah, because I figured, what are the odds? I was like, kind of like, what are the odds that that's not Bigalski? Because who else would be here, sort of thing? Because that's a funny story. Like, say, I'd never flown before, so on my ticket it showed like the time you get in, right? Your arrival time, and I can't remember what way it was, but I got it backwards. So I looked at the arrival time and thought that was like UK time, but obviously it was Vegas time. So when I get there, I was like, oh, actually, like before I flew, like I figured it out. So I remember calling you from the airport. I didn't have a smartphone. Like this trip is what made me get a smartphone, because it was kind of handy.
And a credit card.
And I remember calling him. I called you from the airport. I was like, oh, like my bad, but like I'm actually getting there like 8 hours later than I thought because I'm an idiot and I've never flown before and I don't know how this stuff works. So
I think I was still in Texas or some. I remember you called one time and I was far away. No, you got there late. You got there later, and I ended up actually meeting up with ... to kind of kill some time because I'd gotten there earlier.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and I have a picture of Dot later on, but I met up with her before JayTB and I had gotten together, so it all worked out. That everything worked out. But yeah, it was. I think I got a chance to watch how the Evo worked, and it was a lot of fun. And we
that was a good Evo too. So, I mean, they all were, to be honest. Like everyone I've been to has been great. So.
And like I said, there's going to be another video of some of our adventures together. But this was our very first, picture that we had. But yeah, I remember walking up to JayTB and I'm like, "Are you JayTB?" And he's like, "You must be Bigalski," in his very deep voice or whatever. So he could tell by my size and I could tell by his voice. And I think that was one of the most surprising things I will say. Whenever you did your first commentary and we all heard your voice.
Everyone, man, I get that comment so much. When I went to Evo, I was quite new to like the fighting game scene then, but after that, I kind of stuck with it and got to know more people and that, and that was like the comment that like I used to get all the time was, people would like meet you in person, and I don't know, like because you can never hear your own voice, you know what I mean, like the way other people hear it, and then we did a podcast for like a good chunk of time through like 2015 and 2016, and that was like always the comment that I would get the most when like meet people was like, "Oh, you're J," like they know instantly. It's like, "Oh yeah, I knew you were JayTB because I heard your voice," and I can say that's definitely you. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like you can never hear how you sound to other people. So
it's the same thing with me on my size. To me, I'm just me. And it's not really until I stand up next to somebody or something like that I really realize how much I, not only am taller but rounder.
Well, you're 6'5", right? I think you said.
Yeah,
6'4", 6'5". Yeah. So.
And 300 pounds and stuff. So to me, I'm just me. I'm a nice guy though. So that's all that people need to know. So after that, we decided JayTB had got knocked out, and he still had 4 days left. And I said, look, check out, because he had paid for everything. And I said, well, get your money back and let's go on the road. And we'll go down and we'll, get to see some sights, but we'll go down and visit with Weeble and P. Saren and got to see some of the sights along the way down to the San Diego area and got to meet with them. And this right here is my favorite picture. I mean, we just had such a good time playing.
That was like a whole evening of just NG and like Weeble like brews his own beer, doesn't he? I think that was his own.
I think he does that, but he's also a big connoisseur of all of it.
Yeah, he is. So it was just like a good, I don't know, I felt like 14 hours, like we ordered pizza and everything. It was just like, it really was just, like the best way to spend like an evening indoors, like just playing NG constantly. Because even though it's a single player game, but like, we would just, kind of hop around on missions, and like just kind of do silly stuff as well every now and then.
Well, they were all, they were all so good compared to me, and so they were having a good time, and they were all complimenting each other, and they were really happy to finally meet JayTB. You see the videos, you see the skill, you see the person, but when you finally get to meet him, it's a special occasion. So.
That was that's still, I mean, I've talked about this. I feel like I've talked about this kind of openly in the past couple of streams. But yeah, like that's something that I still kind of struggle with. Cause I remember the very first thing Preet said to me was, "Damn, I'm in the presence of greatness." And I remember thinking, like, what? Like, like your videos are what I kind of watched and thought, "Damn, I want to be, that good." So to hear that from like a player that you looked up to is kind of weird. It's awesome, but it's kind of weird, So
we had gone to eat before we had gotten back to Weeble's house. And,
that place was amazing.
And
that place was so good.
I'll never forget because Weeble's into, like I said, he brews his own beer. I'm pretty sure he built his own beer cabinet. It's pretty amazing, but he has all this different stuff, and I'll never forget. I'm a simple guy from a small town in Texas, Paris, Texas. I'm a country, guy. I mean, I live in Houston now, but I have those simple roots growing up, and when we got out there, we had all these different beers to try, and I'll never forget, he was going through and explaining all the different things about the IPAs and, just all the different things and what's what and all that stuff. And he says, okay, what would you like to try? And I said, I'll take a Bud Light. And I thought he was going to explode. It's like, I'm not trying, I didn't understand all that stuff. So it was kind of funny. To see his face, and we still get a good laugh about it today. But he recommended something, and of course it was awesome. It's more about the time, together with everybody than sometimes the food or the drink. So I think we stayed there, spent the night. Did you get any sleep at all? I think I'd only gotten a couple hours because I had to drive.
Yeah, I think we were up. If I remember right, we stopped playing. I think about 4 a.m. And then I think we were up for like 6. I don't know. There's something about that though. Like, I remember that it was that's something that we'll probably it's unlikely like we'll ever get to do that kind of thing again. And I think the fact that, as you said, it was just kind of on the fly. I'd like that the place we went to. I can't remember what it was called. Can you, Al? The place we went to with
no.
Yeah, but it was like this weird hybrid of like a brewery like.
Restaurant. They had a lot
like
of
restaurant thing.
It had a lot of mac and cheese, variety of mac and cheese, and we got to
because
smoke some
I'd never had that
cigars
before.
outside and play a little pool. And
the best thing was though that was because this was like my first trip outside of the UK, and if anyone's not been to the UK before, service here is kind of crap. And so when we were at that place, they kept bringing us these samples of all the beer, and the samples were like pretty generous, but they were just like so you could try it. And yeah, it was good, man. It was like working all that off in the mental energy, playing NG afterwards,
Oh yeah,
working off all that beer and macaroni and cheese.
So we got up the next day and we took off to Los Angeles, and we got to meet and that's Brighton Love, and he was I think it was him who discovered the Sigma Strat or at least he made the first video of it. The Sigma Strat on Doku, how to beat Doku. And even though you die anyway, sorry for the spoiler alert, but I remember he made a video of that. And again, I don't know if he was the first one, but I know he made the first video of that. But we got together in Hollywood and ate at this. Those are actually pancakes, and that pancake.
Remember the queue to get in that place?
Oh yeah. We had to call in. We had to call in order to, but yeah. So needless to say, we were full. JTB had to take his pancakes to go, but they don't carry well. So
and it weighed like 400 pounds. So
it was so heavy.
Yeah, I should have got what you guys had because you can't really see it on that picture. But what Al and Brighton have there, like mine is like. I think 5 of them just like squished together, like full of Oreos. I remember when the waitress brought it to me, I thought that's gonna kill me. Like I'm not going home.
Welcome
like,
to America, But it's kind of a shame, I tried to get Brighton to come out to Vegas a few times, and he just, I guess it wasn't his gig. And don't get me wrong, some people just don't want to do that. Some people just don't want to meet, and some people just don't want to remain friends, and life goes on and stuff like that. So I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I am happy that for the time that we got a chance to meet him, and I think a lot of it is they wanted to meet JTB. It's like we know you, but yeah, getting to meet JTB, and also JTB and I, and we'll talk about this more in depth whenever we do our big thing, but. It was an interesting experience to travel with somebody who was not an American, and
yeah, vice versa for me too.
Yeah. So it's it was something interesting. It wasn't as easy and as simple as people thought. But so we stayed there, and we drove. We drove from there. We went up the Pacific Coast Highway, went into San Francisco, came back through. I think got Kings Canyon because we couldn't get into Yosemite, and then I took him back to Vegas. So we were gone for 4 days, and the expense of going on the trip for 4 days was less than the hotel that he had already paid for. So we actually got to see some of the sights of America and save a little money.
Yeah. And that was a really good, and it's funny, like looking back on that in hindsight, because I went to Evo every year after that until 2016. That was the last one I went to. And that year when I went with you, that's because I'd never been to Vegas before, but and this was something that I always used to mention to people that would travel, to like subsequent Evos was, they always stayed at the venue hotel, like that was more often than not was always on the strip, and like staying there with you that year. So, oh yeah, you don't really need to do that. Like you can stay at a hotel literally opposite, literally across the road for a fraction of the cost, and then you save an absolute shitload of money. So like that kind of was what I took into like my subsequent years of going, which was one of the reasons I was able to go like every year, because people, oh, isn't that expensive? And it's like, well, not really. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like super cheap, but if you like kind of plan ahead in that, like it's not that bad.
Well, after I dropped JTB off, I still had another week, a little over a week, to go back to Vegas. I mean, I dropped him off in Vegas, but the pool tournament didn't start for like another, week or something like that. So I went over back to California and stayed with some of my friends that I went to high school with, and then on the way back, this is X Factor Hates You, that people have heard me talk about. Again, his channel is on, you can get to his channel through my channel. He has a lot of the old videos from Bookworm, Razor Ramon, Kiori, some of my old crappy crap. And we got to meet. And I will say one of the cool things that happened to me is we enjoyed a great hamburger and time together. He was a big part of Iberian's site, but he was more of a lurker. But when we got together and meet, he said, I go and I download a lot of the videos, and me and my friends, we watch them. And he said, we really enjoy watching Kiori. He's great. And it's amazing all the stuff that we can do. And he says, but I do watch your videos. And I'm like, well, why are you watching mine if you're, watching Kiori's and, all the other, champion guys? He says, because we learned how to play because of you. So, when I talk about me being a working man's ninja, I'm not as good as Godfather or JTB or any of that stuff, but I have been able to help people. So for him to say that was really cool, and makes, all the videos, worth it whenever I can make them. And for those, yes, I am planning on finishing my 50 million run. I've had some technical problems, but that will be coming up. But again, I met him then, and then I met him another time the next year on the way out.
It looks like a big burger, by the way. Oh, it's like a good one.
It was so awesome. And it was something different. They kind of, I think that's like blue cheese and cottage cheese kind of mixed together. And it's not like one of my favorite things that I would eat on my own, but normally. But because that was like their specialty or something, and I was out and about, I always try to get something different and local whenever I possibly can. So I thought I would try it, and it was absolutely fabulous. And of course, look how thin he is, and then look at me. So that's the reason I'm Bigalski, But yeah, hell of a nice guy. We still text each other from time to time, but yeah, people check out his channel, X Factor Hates You, and that's actually kind of a funny name too. So I think this was 2013, and then I think this right here is 2014, whenever we decided to do it again. And one of the guys on Iberian's site, and he was more of a Sigma player, he didn't get into black, his name was Dravidian. And he happened to be, I think it was in Phoenix, Arizona, or something like that, or just outside of, maybe it's just outside of Las Vegas, north of Boulder City or something like that. And anyway, so we got together, and he said he wanted to meet up, and we just had a great time talking, and he was on my Facebook while I'm not on Facebook anymore, but so again, for him to sit there and take the time, for somebody he's never met before, to get together and have lunch, it's I don't have a lot of, because all we did was, he had like an hour to eat, and I had to get on the road, but still, for him to make that effort, really says a lot, where some people may, hell, I don't know this guy, so it was I really appreciate him coming out, and I hope that he's doing well if he ever happens to see this. And again, I think this is 2014, yeah. And then so sitting next to JTB, this is Alpha Zero, and sitting next to me is God, what a contrast between us, is Dances with Ninjas. And they were big.
Another great username. There's some good usernames from from the forum.
And I don't know what happened with Dances with Ninjas. Alpha Zero is still on my friends list, and we'll chat from time to time. But they were coming out for Evo, and I'm like, well, we have to get together and hook up. So again, kudos to those guys. They had never met us, but they just knew us from the forum, and I think we spent a couple hours with them or something. And
yeah, I think we just grabbed food. Yeah, it was pretty short, but it was one of those things where you've got the opportunity, so we might as well.
Yeah, and I try to tell people all the time, make the most of this time, because next times aren't guaranteed. You never know when they're going to happen. So I'm glad, because again, I haven't seen those guys again. And so I'm glad we got a chance to get together. And then I think a few days later, we all got together, and again, Darkness, Weeble, P. Saren, JTB, and then that's ... And she was one of the very few girl players who were on the site who would play, and she was pretty active, and but she would play Halo with us. We just had a great time, and I don't have very many positive comments to say about the person that she was with, so I won't, but I'll just say, yeah, JTB knows.
Yeah, the old adage, if you can't say anything nice, then
yeah. But I will say,
not a pleasant person.
Yeah, I will say that I'm glad she was able to come out with us, because not only did we go eat, we went to well, I think that's all we got a chance to do, because we didn't get a chance to, she couldn't join us for our little Ninja Gaiden session later on, but I'm glad she was able to get out there, and the guys were able to get out there too, and we just had a blast. And I think whenever we got together to play Ninja Gaiden minus Dot, it was one of those all-night things again. And anyway, it was just a lot of fun.
I think that was the restaurant that I was asked for ID for as well, actually, which was quite fun. Because me and Preet got, God, what did we get for dessert? We got this insane milkshake. It was
at the Cosmopolitan, one of the restaurants in the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah. It was the glass was like a foot tall, and it's like this Oreo milkshake cream mixture or something, and we both wanted it with vodka in it, and she was really nice about it. She was like, sorry, but I do you have any identification on you? And I was like, yep, sure, don't worry about it. And this was the following year, I think, so I was 26 there.
Wow, yeah, 2004.
Every year that happens afterwards, I'm like, I it gets nicer every year, because sooner or later that's going to stop happening. So,
well, at the end of 2014, Shelly and I decided to take a little driving trip, and we were going to go to from Houston. We were going to go to Niagara Falls up into Canada, and then come back down through New York City. And so we got to meet some of the people along the way. And this guy, he's a Dragon Voyager, and he lives just in the Columbus, Ohio area, which is funny because that's where IW at. Iberian Warrior lived at, and I thought about trying to maybe reach out, and then I decided, not to. But anyway, we got together to eat and have a little breakfast and stuff before our journey onward, and so it was really good that he took the time to come out and meet. Again, we've texted a few times and talked a few times, but that's the only time we ever had a chance to meet up. So when we left there, we went to we'd gone to Niagara Falls. I actually got to see one of my old friends from high school, just outside of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But after we left, on our way, after Niagara Falls and on our way to Canada, to Montreal, this is Gorgia, and he was part of the site. He was, again, more of a lurker, but I played a lot of Halo with him and his parents. And his parents are from Australia, and they're more my age. But we got a chance to meet up again, only for about an hour. And we're still friends on Xbox Live and talk from time to time. And he's like a family man now and has kids and stuff like that. But again, just a really good visit and just a really great time seeing somebody. So I think the next pictures, some people will know. Next to me is some weird guy who only does speed runs.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. But so as we had set a time to meet up. Of course, that's the Godfather dictator, the one and only. And we had set a certain time to meet up, and Shelly and I had to cross the border into Canada. So the story of this is, and I was late, and I couldn't even call or text Godfather that I was running late. So as we pull up, the guy's like, "What's your purpose of coming into Canada?" And I says, "Well, I'm going to go meet one of my video game guys for lunch." And he says, "Oh, well, how long are you going to plan on staying in Canada?" And I said, "Well, we're only going to meet for lunch, so probably only, for, however long it takes to Montreal, eat and come back. So, maybe a couple hours or something like that." He's like, "Oh, really?" He says, "Well, where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Houston, Texas." He's like, "Well, wow, you're a long way from home." And I said, "Well, we're on this road trip and we were just in Niagara Falls and I'm going to go meet this guy." And he says, well, how long have you known this guy and how many times have y'all met?" And I said, "Well, and this is the customs guy, I'm sure people have figured that out." And I said, "Well, I've never met him before, and this will be the first time that we've ever met." And he said, "So let me get this straight. You came from Houston all the way up to Canada to meet a guy you've never met before for 1 hour.
To have lunch with him, right?"
And I said, "Well, you're making it sound a lot worse than what it is." I said, "It's not like that at all." And he says, "Well, what's his name?" Well, his name is a French name, and which I have a hard time pronouncing. It's so I said, "Well, it's hard for me to say his name. I just know his gamer tag, and he usually calls me by my gamer tag." He says, "Well, what's his gamer tag?" And I go, "The Godfather dictator." And he's like, he says, "Well, what do you do for work?" And I'm like, "I'm unemployed." And he's like, "Okay, pull over." So they went and they searched my car. And, they took everything out. They went through every bag. They, opened up all the wheel wells and, all the trunk and the panels. And I was hot. I was not happy at all. And my wife was like, "Just whatever you do, don't act like yourself and try to shut up this time." And I was hot, man.
And can you imagine all of that for 1 hour lunch?
Oh,
you want to have 1 hour lunch and you have to go through that. Yeah.
It's funny though, because like when you actually lay out the story like that, you can kind of see why he would be.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like so you put yourself in his shoes. You think?
Oh yeah, I completely
hang on
understand
a minute,
that. Yeah. So after they searched everything, and like I said, now it's like an hour and a half later. And I'm sure, TGD is like, is he even going to show? And so he said, "Okay, well, y'all can get in your car and leave." And he says, but I need y'all to go to this other building and go talk there. Because they had our passports and our driver's license. But you know me, I couldn't resist. I said, well, I'll make sure I let people know how friendly you guys are here in Canada. And like Shelly kicked me in the leg or something. She's like, please just shut up. You know? So we went back and we had to go to immigration, and they did like a background check on us. And I had to explain the whole story again.
Wow.
And the guy just sat there with a completely blank stone face and just never smiled, flinched, twitched, or anything. And then after I was done, he says, well, Mr. Smallwood, he goes, I want to tell you that, you know, while I was telling the story, they were doing the check. And he said, you know, everything checks out, but you have to understand, what you're saying never happens. Somebody doesn't just drive from Houston, Texas to Montreal, Canada to meet somebody they've never met before for 1 hour. And I go, yes, it does, because it's happening right now. And Shelly again is like tugging on me, like, you know, just shut up, please.
So I'm not with him. Like,
Yeah.
this guy.
She said that a few times, though. You know, I will say that. But so anyway, it definitely made a very interesting story. But yeah, I was like, well, what's his name? And I don't know. And it's like the Godfather dictator. Okay, pull over. You know, you couldn't have a name like John Smith or something. You know, something
Right,
simple.
yeah,
you know?
regular username. And also talking about this, that restaurant that I told you to, you know, get to there, because I mean it's in French on top, so I'm gonna translate what it says. But it was the first official restaurant back then of this kind, and that was the restaurant that had created the poutine back in the day. You know.
Oh wow.
So I knew. I knew because it was not far from where I was living. You know, it was a couple of blocks down the street. It was maybe a 5-minute walk from where I actually lived back then. And that was the first restaurant open, as it says there, from 1971, the original one. And when you came here and I knew you were going to taste the poutine, you know, I didn't want to bring you to a place that I wasn't sure was good. So I knew that this restaurant, you know, would guarantee to be good. So I think I remember when you came in, I told you that there was variation of the poutine, you know, because you said, well, what's a classic? And then I told you, well, that's with the fried, the sauce, you know, and then
the gravy,
the
yeah.
squeezy cheese.
Yeah.
And then, well, you told me kind of, well, we're American, you know, we would like to have something with meat. And then I remember you took the smoked meat version, if I recall, of the poutine, and then you shared it with Shelly, and I think you enjoyed it quite a bit, right?
Oh,
and then
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you had the hot dogs.
Yeah.
You didn't even have poutine. You had hot dogs, and then I was thinking, it's like, well, if this place is so great, why is he having hot dogs and not poutine? You know.
Well, it's because I didn't want to stuff myself, you know, that days. I mean, when you're here and you have access to this, it's like you kind of have to be careful on how much you
or you look
consume
like
of it.
me. Yeah, or you end up looking like me. Yeah, okay.
Because let's just say it tastes very good, poutine, but it's not what you would call like a LT meal, you know.
Well, it was awesome. You know,
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it, and it was. I mean, how long? We spent a couple hours together, right? I think is what.
It was like an hour or two that we stand in there. We talk about different story and all. And I remember you telling me kind of on the go, you know, when you were coming in, because you did say, well, if we stop by to see you, you know, we're just going to Canada pretty much to eat with you, and then we're getting out after. Yeah. So I was kind of honored at the same time, you know, that you got out of your way to meet up and all. So that's why I was not, if you want, like in fear of anything to meet you, because I was just like, it's going to be a good time, you know.
Right.
Sometimes there's people that would be not sure, man, am I going to meet that person that I never seen before in my life? What's going to happen? You know, you're uncertain, I would say, but I had a really good time, and I'm glad we did it. And after, you know, is that thing that you say now with everything that happened, with life and COVID and all of that, it might take a long while before we could do that again. So I'm glad that we got to do it back in the day. I had a really good time.
Well, I believe, and like I said, to us, whenever I left my friend Jeff's going real back and I went to go meet X Factor Hates You, I actually drove about 250 miles out of the way to go back towards Phoenix to get to, and then go back. And my friend Jeff is like, why would you do that and go out of your way? It's because I get to meet somebody I've never met before, and you never know when it's going to happen again. And the same thing with you. Whenever that opportunity came up, it's like, we're going to adjust our schedule to make sure. One of the things that Shelly and I believe, other than the other saying I had said about you never know about next time, but you make time for the things you want to make time for.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was one of the things. We wanted to make time for that. And we had a blast. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. And there's a poutine place down here in Houston. I mean, there's a few of them. But and we've gone there a few times. But still, it was a special time. And I'm glad you were able to meet up with us and that we can still talk and laugh and finally do some commentary together after all these years about different things. So, again, it was a blast. Thanks.
Yeah. Fun time, yeah. Cheers, same here.
So after we left there, we actually went back through we didn't go through the New York again, the station in New York. We went over through Vermont. It's like, hell no, I'm not going back the same way that I came. That's all I need. And whenever we got back into the United States, it was like, well, did you enjoy your trip? Yeah, okay, have fun. We'll see you. And so it was an interesting experience, to say the least.
It was nice.
So during that trip, one of the things we were going to stop in was on the way back down, because we were heading to New York City. We stop through Boston, and so we got to meet with. So Shelly and I are there, I guess, on the right, and then next to Shelly is Murphy's Ghost, who's still pretty active on the site.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And this was 2014, and then next to Murphy's Ghost is Sned. And let me tell you, Sned was one of the original guys too. Made a lot of great no hurt runs of what was it? Got you 4? I think one of the first no hurt runs of Got You 4.
He was one of the. He's probably the first. Now he was one of the real early Giants of the Underworld people that really dug into those missions.
Mm-hmm. He did a lot of.
I think he still has
runs too.
Yeah, I think he still has the speedrun records for most of them. Because I think he's Got You 5 ones 27 seconds or something crazy like that. Yeah,
in 6 months.
He also played he also played a shit ton of Captivating Goddesses 1.
CG2 was Snare. That was his thing. CG2 was definitely his jam.
Well, he's the one that really started doing it with the Dobby versus some of the other ways, and I think Kel finally beat his run
a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I still have.
I was not sad for Sned in a way, because it was one of the few scores that he still had left, and Kel knocked him down. Yeah,
I think it was when Kel beat Fat Man's Descent of the Fiends 1 run, because I went back and I did it quite well, relatively speaking. I did it quite recently, but when over the last couple of years, the mission mode thread's been kind of revamped, a lot of new runs have been made. And while that's great, what kind of got to me a little bit was man, as I'm going and updating these threads, so many old names are just going from this list, because this is their last video.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went back and actually backed up all that stuff from Sned's YouTube channel. So all of those are old videos. I still have them.
So if people want to see Sned, BAHSNEH, of course, shameless plug, you can get there from my channel. You can get to Godfathers and JayTB's. And I believe in that. I believe in promoting other players' channels, and hopefully they get there. But Sned has all that stuff before what it is today. So some of it's hard to watch, but he has a lot of the high score on videos, when they were back then, and the speed runs and the no damage runs and stuff like that. So it's I hope people get a chance to check it out, because I believe Weeble760 still has, isn't it the CG4? Doesn't he still have that record?
Yeah, he still has it.
He does, yeah.
So that was
SNES still has Giant of the Underworld 4, by the way.
Oh, see, it's amazing that these guys set these records back in 2005, 2006, and they're still standing today.
Yep.
And on Weeble, I think Kel finally beat his Abysmal Layer 1. But if Weeble was able to absorb all that essence at the end, I think that might have been a record that would be real hard to beat. But so anyway, Sned came, and then next to Sned is Leo. He had commented, Leo gets it done. So he got a chance to come out and eat with us, and he was actually sick that day, and he works about, Boston and Rhode Island they're close together, but they're still kind of far apart when you think about it in terms of being in another state. And so he could only stay a little while with us because he had to get back, to Rhode Island. But he's a great guy. I've met him, a couple of other times, and just a really, really nice guy. And he posted a question on Godfathers about our history and everything. So that's what led us to talk about that. I think that was in either part 2 or part 3. I think part 3. And but yes, Sned and Murphy's Ghost, they kind of dressed up, and Leo did too, wearing something nice. And here me and Shelly are in our little driving clothes, because trying to get to where they were in Boston, again, this GPS wasn't as good as it was, today, back in 2014. And so we didn't get a chance to go change or anything like that. So we just came there. That's the reason we look like slobs and they look immaculate. But it was a great time, and I appreciate those guys. And Sned also gave me a Ninja Gaiden, I guess it's an NES cartridge, I guess is what it was, and it's all covered in plexiglass, and that'll be the last picture I show, but I do want to show that. So again, great time seeing those guys. And then on the same trip, one of the regulars of Iberian Warriors, again, he didn't make many videos or anything, but he was always there as Corsa. And Corsa is on the right hand of the screen, and his buddy Lyndon. Well, we used to play Halo 3 a lot together, and that's how I knew Lyndon, but Corsa was part of the site. And when we were coming back towards Houston, we were going through North Carolina, and I told him that, hey, we're going to be it's still going to be about 30 or 40 miles from where you live. But if you want to get together and eat, we can do that. And so they, drove that far just to meet me and Shelly. But the key is I got a speeding ticket in Virginia. And because we were in the kind of the I don't want to call it the backwoods, but an area, again, cell towers and all that stuff weren't what they are today. I couldn't call them that I was going to be late. So I was almost 2 hours late. And they stayed. And that just made me so happy and thankful that, they could have easily left. First of all, they didn't have to drive that far. But, to come over and meet. And me and Lyndon didn't have that much contact with each other compared to me and Corsa. And for them to come over and wait for us, I think it was really, really a good time. JayTB, I think you played some Halo with me and Corsa before, right? Some Halo 3?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I remember we played, we used to play, it's going back longer than you think. Halo 3 is going back, 14 years? But yeah, I think we used to play on. I remember playing a lot of snipers on the Blood Gulch on Halo 3. I can't remember. Is it Valhalla? That's called on Halo 3.
Yeah. We played the pit.
Yeah.
A lot of
the pit. Yeah, we used to play a lot on that too. Yeah.
So
I miss Halo 3. That was a good game.
Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate those guys coming out, and they're still friends on my Xbox, and we'll get together and play from time to time. So again, it's I think it really says a lot about their character for them to come that far and then wait as long as they did. It's something that I'm really, and I know Shelly's really appreciative of. So, and then this was, I think, 2015, and you couldn't go with us, but then Fayer decided, who's part of the site, that he's like, oh, you and JayTB have all this fun. I want to come out there, and he's from Austria. And so me and him road trip. I think that was the year you couldn't go, but anyway, it was that's a great picture of y'all.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been 2015. That was MKX, because that was the year that I'd switched jobs like towards the end of 2014, and I was determined to go like for that year. Like I would have swam there. Like I would not have cared. Like I was determined to go for that year, because I think I was only in Vegas pretty much for Evo. I was there for like 2.5 days basically, and then but we were still able to meet up.
Well, we got a chance. I don't know if we had a chance to really go eat because Fair and I had already done our part of the trip. Mm-hmm. And then he came back and he stayed the night with you, right? Or he stayed close to you? Because I know y'all.
I think he was near me, yeah. He was near me because I was at...
That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah, he was like... Yeah, man, that's weird. I forgot about that completely. He was literally just round the corner from my room.
Yeah.
Just really, like, what are the odds of that?
Well, I mean, I think we had all planned it out. I think once he, found out where you were staying, I let him know. That way he would know. He would know somebody, and y'all got a chance to hang out a little bit.
I want to give a huge thanks to Fair. I told him that after like the finals for MK that year, because I'd forgot my glasses when I went. Like I left, my hotel to go to the venue to watch the finals, and I forgot my glasses. And huge shout outs to Fair. He brought them to me at the place because I had my place saved and everything near the front. But if I hadn't have had my glasses, that would have been a very different experience.
A real brother right there.
Oh yeah. Well, and that was what the forum Iberians brought. A sense of it was more than just, for the most part. It was more than just, a bunch of gamers talking about stuff. We all built up a lot of camaraderie that, back then you didn't see. Maybe it's a little bit more prevalent now. I'm not sure. But, back then it was a little, people thought it might still be a little bit sketchy. But, yeah, he and I had a great time. And I think this was 2016. When we got back out together again. And, everybody came to meet, and we got a chance to play, and...
CG4.
Yeah.
it's on the screen.
And, of course, I think everybody did it but me. Of course, that's how it goes. But we were playing, and we were all going to go eat, and Shelly was with me, and Weevil's wife was with him, or I think girlfriend at the time. But, she wasn't as excited about us playing games as we were, and it's like, okay, well, let's go eat, and then we're like, no, just one more game, and it wasn't just one more game. I mean, if y'all know us, we had to kind of go forced to go do some stuff because we would just have so much fun, but. I'll remember her, looking at Shelly and just saying, I'm never doing this again. So it was, y'all are supposed to be laughing with me here. Come on.
I mean, that's her loss, man,
Don't stick me out, and throw me on an island here like that. It was supposed to be funny, so.
But as you said, that's her loss, bro. That's her loss.
No, I don't want to say that. It's just not her thing, but it's, we had a good time because we went out to the pool and went down the slide, and it was like National Ice Cream Day or something. So we were downtown, and we all went and got.
That should just be every day, in my opinion.
Yeah. But it's not like we just stayed in there the whole time and didn't do anything else. It was just we probably stayed in a little bit longer than she would have liked, or even Shelly would have liked. She wants to spend some time with Jason's. Wife, and it was a little distracting us playing, but I tell you what, it was a lot of fun that we could get together again. So after that trip, it was still 2016. Shelly and I and JayTB, we were going to take a road trip, and we were going to go up to Yellowstone, and on the way, driving through Utah, Selden. And I forget, it's Selden 12120 or something like that. It's
Yeah, that's testing my memory. I can't remember like the numbers there.
No,
But yeah, I remember Selden from the
Yeah,
forum.
it's 12010. I actually looked on the thing that he signed, and he just happened to be in Utah as we were driving through, and he was leaving to go out of the country. And I will say, I've met him before on one of our other driving trips. I've met him, probably 4 or 5 years earlier than this. And another time when Iberian Warrior came down to Houston and y'all saw him with me in front of NASA, well, one of the trips that we did, we drove over to San Antonio because Selden was over there. So again, we drove over, and so I have a picture of me, Selden, and Iberian Warrior. So again, I have multiple pictures for the most part of the people that I've met, but I didn't want to put them all in there. But anyway, it was nice because Selden was a big poster. We'll leave it at that on the site. I mean, I think he had 20 or 30,000 posts or something, and
Yeah, a decent percentage of the total posts were him. Yeah,
and the Sunny D. He would pass out Sunny Ds to everybody, and there was a guy who was posted on the history of what we did, and he talked about he was part of the clan that Selden was in, and they ended up crashing Iberians with all the Sunny D little emotes or whatever it's called that they posted on the site, and it ended up crashing the site because they wrecked it with the Sunny D. So it was pretty cool that guy posted in one of the videos that we did. But anyway, he was part of Selden, and I still WhatsApp with Selden every now and then, and it's always good to stay in contact with these guys. But again, it was kind of a bonus that he just happened to be there. He was only going to be there for 2 days, and we caught him on that one day. And poor Shelly, that was the only picture we had. Her eyes were closed. She was blinking or laughing at something stupid that we had said or something. But anyway, so I'm sorry to my wife that's the best picture I had of that point. So this is us up in Yellowstone. Again, I can post a ton of pictures of us, but it's more about the reason I posted this. Sometimes it's more about getting out and doing other things other than just video games. We have more in common than we think if people want to, explore that side of the gaming side. Hey, JayTB and I have been on a lot of stuff. We did some whitewater rafting. We drove through Death Valley, so he's not used to 120 degrees.
It was a quick note on that. There is a picture of us, isn't there, in front of that thermometer?
Yeah.
I was a little bit annoyed because I think that the record day there was 154.
No. It's one. I think 120 something. It's a little.
Was it
over
120?
120? Yeah. It's
Okay, I can't remember what
124.
Whatever it was. Yeah, whatever it was. I think we were only 2 degrees away from that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, why can't it just be 3 degrees hotter so we can just
say we were part of the record?
Yeah, be like, this was the hottest day. That was ridiculous. Man, when we got back to your car and just, that was that is the best water it's ever tasted, by the way. If anyone has ever been there, yeah, there was this because did you say that place is closed now?
I think they did some remodeling, so I don't know if it's the same. It's Furnace Creek or something, but yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I
think what Weevil was saying is because it's the lowest point in the United States, or I think in the lower 48, and all the water drains from every place and collects there. So that place runs completely off spring water. Underground spring water, and it is the best water you will ever taste in your life. It doesn't matter that it's 120 degrees and you're dying of thirst, even if you weren't.
It would still be that.
Oh, it is still that good. I remember Shelly and I were sitting there, and these ladies were talking, and they were drinking something, and they looked at us because we had a bunch of water, and we weren't drinking anything else. And they said, "Oh, are y'all really that thirsty?" And we're like, "No, this is the best water you'll ever have." Because I think they were drinking beer or something. And so they ordered 2 glasses of water. And then, after they got it and drank it, they turned around at us and it's like, "Thank you for letting us know that, because it is fabulous." So they say water has no taste.
We went through how many pictures of that? When we were there. And we weren't there that long. I think we just had lunch pretty much.
Yeah, it was... So like I said, it's that's for another video one time, because like I said, JTB and I have fortunately been able to do a lot of stuff together. But us riding horses through Yellowstone, the whitewater rafting that we did, the hike up to Bunsen Peak, which is almost 10,000 feet, I think, that was something fun. But yeah, this is just one of the, you don't always have to just have video games in common with people to get out and have a good time. So we've been fortunate enough to do some extra things. And after JTB left, so that whole trip for me was me coming out. I took a friend of mine out who'd never done a trip like that before. We spent a week. We got to Vegas. We stayed in Vegas for the meetup with Weeble and all those guys. JTB came out. We did a road trip together where we met Selden and all of that stuff. And then I brought them back to Vegas, and then Fayer came out. So Fayer and I came, and we drove, stayed in Vegas a night, and then we drove down to where Weeble and them live. So we played some more. And the hat that I'm wearing, that Weeble's wearing, and the controller and the wristbands, all of that are some of the prizes from the Master Ninja tournament that they did back in the end of 2004, the beginning of 2005, which was before my time. But, Weeble got some of those prizes, and of course still has them. And I think they stayed up all night playing, and I had to get 2 hours of sleep because, again, we were heading north that day. But it was a lot of fun that night, again, getting a chance to meet with them. And it's the first time they had ever met, Fayer as well. And then up in San Francisco, and I'd met these guys before, like 3 years earlier, but next to me, or right below me, if you want to say that because I'm so tall, is Dark Hades, who actually did some Sigma runs and has some Sigma videos out. VMD, who is a staple of the site for a long time. And then I think his name is, it's YUEFEI. So however you would say that. He actually lived about 30 or 40 miles away, and he drove up, and he did it the first time we met too. But he drove up, and so we all went to go eat. I think it was pho, but whatever. It was great, and then we went off and had some of the tea that they have. I'm not good with the names of all of that stuff, but it wasn't like sweet tea or American tea. It was Asian tea, and it was really good. There was all kinds of flavors and stuff. But we probably spent a couple hours with those guys, and they are some really, really good guys. And I still enjoy the times, and I think I message them on Facebook, to just make sure, see how they're all doing and stuff like that. But again, I really appreciate them coming out. So Fair and I continued north, and we were up in Seattle, and I met another one of my high school friends up there. But this right here, he lives in, or used to live in, Florida, and he was at the time, but he happened to be in Seattle visiting some people. And this is Tekken, and people from the site, he spelled it like TEHQIN, and he just happened to be in Seattle the time that me and Fayer were up there. So he stopped to eat, and we all got a chance to eat and meet up and stuff like that. So it really is a good time. And it was interesting on those trips that Selden just happened to be in Utah at that time, and he happened to be in Seattle at that time. So again, putting yourself out there and letting people know what you're doing and stuff. Again, they made time for the things they want to make time for, and I appreciate all that from those guys. Do y'all remember him from IW's site? He was pretty active back then.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember the username.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy too. I don't, none of those guys really played. I think it's extensively like we did, but they still really enjoyed the game, and they really enjoyed the community. They all, they all ask me every time we meet up, what happened with Iberian site. So again, that's one reason why I felt it was time to, really kind of set the record straight on that. And then this was a couple years ago up in Minnesota. Shelly and I were doing a trip to Canada. We were too far from you, Godfather, to we were on I think we were like 300 or 400 miles away from you. So we didn't get a chance to come over and visit you guys. But next to Shelly is Reim, the bacon, with the bacon shirt on. He's the one who really took care of the site for years and years. And when Brian says, hey, I don't know that guy and I don't trust him, I really took exception to that. And, Reim at the time could have said, you know what, screw him. I'm not going to, put up with this. But he stuck with it, and he really was the glue for the most part in terms of admins. I mean, just really being there and doing something for a long time. And I've met him, again, multiple times over the years. He has a beautiful family, super nice guy. And again, I'm glad we got a chance to get out and meet with him. And then next to me with the cap is Pyron. And he was, back in the day, it was like Dipperoni. And he was in the top 10 on all the Master Ninja tournaments. And so, before I even got involved in it, so he was in the top 10 of whenever you could play through the game and upload your score, part of Hurricane Pack 1 and Hurricane Pack 2. So he was really, a well-rounded player. And I think, he'd gotten to some karma runs or something like that. But he came out to meet us. Unfortunately, we don't keep in touch. Things happen. And but I am thankful for the time that we got a chance to talk and meet up and hang out. These moments, you just never know when they're going to happen. So, again, I appreciate the opportunity that I have had. And, of course, you have to have an open mind to do all of that stuff. So hopefully this video will let people know, hey, you can meet some really great people, because of it really is amazing because of a video game series. So
yep.
And then the last picture is, this is what I told y'all that Sned got me, and it's really kind of like my prized Ninja Gaiden. It's not everybody that I've met, because Godfather's not up there, but Sned gave this after I'd met with Godfather. So all of these people, whenever I've had a chance to visit with them, I've gotten them to sign this. And I think it's really cool. And, I just, it's one of my prized possessions. Again, maybe that sounds a little nerdy or whatever like that, but of course the worst writing on here is JayTB.
Yeah, the pen was practically it was just not working. So it took me so many it took me ages to actually get ink flowing to get it to go.
Well, I want to thank y'all for being a part of this, and I know I'm sorry, Godfather, you didn't have that much to say, but what you did say was awesome. And getting a chance to be a part of that and hearing your side of the story, and saying that you weren't nervous at all or anything like that. And the same thing with JayTB, here meeting somebody from a different country and for the first time. And it's been a great friendship, with both of y'all. And I hope for years to come, and hopefully we'll all get a chance to meet up again. And I'll end it on just letting people know, hey, get out there and meet some new people. And for the most part, it's not going to be weird, and you might be pleasantly surprised and have a lot of great memories. I've been super fortunate, and I guess that's it. Anything else you guys want to add to all this?
Well, I would just say to everyone, remember that NGB is available on pretty much all the newest console, and it's $10 digital. So if you want to play that awesome gem of a game, and you still have an Xbox, or you have one of the newest Xbox or anything, because it works on all Xbox, right? As far as I know, it's
right,
OG Xbox, 360, the newest one. So make sure you get it and you play this awesome game again.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for that game, we wouldn't be doing this today.
Yep.
That's the easiest way to put it. Okay, guys. Well, look, everyone, take care. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. We'll see ya.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, take care.